Get up, Dolan, we're not finished yet.
Good morning, Vietnam! It's not that movie? Oh. How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Hope it's been a nice, warm, sunny day for you, unlike here where it is bitterly cold, freezing, and I don't know if I have any feet. Well, they haven't succumbed to frostbite just yet, but welcome back to DeeJsee! And I'm probably going to end this bit anyway, it's not even plugged in. Well into lockdown week, and hopefully things are going very well for you indeed. The movie that I saw really did show a few harsh realities of what to expect from mankind today. It wasn't just a simple movie, it was to do with people locked in a room that ultimately turns in a fight for survival. If anything, it turns into something a lot worse. Feedback. Directed by Pedro Alonso, starring Eddie Marson, Paul Anderson, Ivana Baquero, and Alana Bowden. Set in modern-day London, where a man who's lost everything and only has a radio show called The Grim Reality to turn back to is being threatened to close down. In a last-ditch attempt, he decides to go on air for his last ever show when two men storm the radio station and force their demands to be met. Is this crazy lock-in movie something to boast about, or is it just as mean-spirited as mankind can be? Let's find out. Kick it into the good. Every actor is giving it their all during this performance, being truthful in the way that they would react in this sort of dilemma. Some of them consider themselves to be heroes, but others would ultimately be paranoid and trying their hardest not to get a bullet in the head. But it shows the different sides of each character. The main protagonist, caring father who's just trying to do right by his daughter, while the other antagonists have got their own reasons for being there, which may just shock you. Monologues, very well done. The script that is put together nicely has some great inventive flow to it. Up until the halfway mark, the typical radio presenter would be talking different ordeals that we as humans have faced. It ties in with the slow pans of the camera is constantly staying in the one shot and what sadly is the grim reality of the situation. The will of humanity. The fact that we respond differently when the media gives us something else. All we seem to do is understand and accept what the media says and never sees the underlying image of what truly happened to go with one person's answer. The scenery and the atmosphere have a different way of showing it. Rooms throughout the studio that have colors, multiple lighting. Some of them have got louder areas, and some of them have quieter areas. Others have no sound at all. It was very nice to see them stick with that scenery. It didn't need to force our hand into what we were seeing on screen. We know this is a radio station. We can see through every scene of where we would be. Even if it hadn't been set in London. Really didn't matter. The fact is that the scenery is not the thing that really speaks in this movie. What does are the vicious on-screen moments that are occurring. Literally makes you cringe from how shocking in detail it is. Giving your imagination a run for its money by having it power through everything that's being said. Tell, not show scenario. It makes it so unrelentingly violent that you can't help but keep watching, even though all you want to do is unplug your headphones and turn away. Twist after twist after twist is revealed. It definitely doesn't hurt the overall story. Twists really only need to be done once in order to fully capture an audience. When it comes to something like this, the minute you see the first twist, you just want to see how this movie is going to end. Who's going to come out on top, and how are they going to be able to move on from this traumatic experience? With all of these incredible points that I'm bringing up, there is quite a few of them that are sadly too problematic to ignore. The antagonists that are in this aren't really all that special. They do all the same sort of things any hostage situation would do. One thing that I had a massive problem was the masks and the voice. Very plain. Something that you would see in a bad Planet of the Apes movie. And the voice, that just sounded like Bane on Quaaludes. Run through Audacity at least 2 or 3 times to the point where you can't even understand what they're saying half the time. What? What?
If you don't listen to what I say, I will destroy everything.
You turn off your filter.
I didn't see the light until I was already mad.
But you did not need to mask Richard Brake's voice when he already has a terrifying and blood-chilling vocalization when he speaks. Just look at some of his movies. Doom. 31.
I do real well.
Three from Hell.
I got a piece of fucking skull in my eye.
Every single one of those movies, and probably a lot more, he's got this way of just making you feel uncomfortable. Gives me a chill just thinking about it. Just this drowned rat that refuses to die and only wants to plague you with his little scratches. It's so good to hear. And yet, sadly, this movie didn't really account for that. Trying to disguise his voice, then understandable, but at the same time, I don't think they really needed to disguise him. We weren't supposed to recognize them when they did eventually reveal themselves, and it wasn't really necessary. This movie is very mean-spirited. Definitely not a movie for everyone. But it was going to be just a thriller/horror that was set in a radio station during a hostage situation. So much more than that. It is shocking, unrelenting, unspeakable from the different things that have occurred during it. They might not show anything. It's all in here while you're watching it. It expects you to have that imagination in your mind, and it hurts. And the way that the ending played out, I could have seriously punched a hole in my screen. With how mean-spirited it was, the point really does come across as to what they're going for. It's a metaphor for media, how we carry ourselves, what we choose to believe, what we see, but in truth we never really see what happened. The only people that do are the ones who are actually there, dealt with this trauma, who still carry it to this day. And you can sugarcoat it as much as you want, and the media can change the story as much as it likes, but at the end of the day, truth always comes out. But it's up to the people who are responsible to own up to it. And that's why feedback gets. Now, I always like to end my reviews with a quote from the film. And my favourite quote was, "I know guys like you just want girls to be at your service, to keep their mouths shut. You know better than them." You'll know it if you see it. That being said, did you see it? Will you see it? And if so, let me know in the comments. Until then, I've been DeeJsee. And always remember, did you see it? Mean-spirited. Just seems to be the theme of this week. Being locked in a 4x4 place. Nowhere to go. No one else to talk to. Just seems to be, more than anything, a realization of who we are inside. And it definitely brings up a lot of things. Some people go mad from that. As long as you're still staying in touch with people and you're talking to them, just a call or something like that, you won't need to be feeling down or angry or upset. If you are, there are people that you can talk to. Just don't let it keep building up, because eventually it'll bubble over and turn into something nasty.